I knew the storm was brewing the moment I stepped into the dimly lit server room and found Alex slumped over his keyboard, eyes bloodshot from another all-nighter, a lukewarm energy drink dangling precariously from his hand. It was a Saturday. For God's sake, no one had paged him. No emergency alert had gone out. But there he was, like clockwork, propping up the entire infrastructure of Apex Dynamics while the rest of us were out chasing weekend barbecues or, in Brittany's case, polishing her Instagram reels on empowering leadership journeys. I didn't disturb him. I just lingered in the doorway, watching the glow of error logs scrolling across his dual monitors like a lifeline only he could decipher. Alex had been with the company for 22 years, same cramped workstation, same faded thermos etched with coffee stains, same worn-out sneakers tucked under the desk. He never griped, never chased after shout-outs in team meetings, just ground through the tasks with the steady precision of a heartbeat. No one paid attention until that rhythm faltered. We used to kid that the servers would melt down without him. But deep down, it wasn't funny. It was the truth staring us in the face. If you've ever poured your soul into a job only to watch someone else waltz in and claim the glory, you know the ache, the quiet burn that simmers without a flame. Alex trained me when I first joined. No fanfare. No HR mandate. He just noticed me fumbling with the cloud deployment scripts one afternoon and pulled up a chair, walking me through the knots without making me feel like an idiot. Over the months, I pieced together that most of our back-end magic wasn't in any official playbook. It hummed along flawlessly, custom algorithms that shaved hours off data processing, dashboards that predicted outages before they hit, client portals that mended themselves like living code. But none of it was documented in the shared drives. It lived in cryptic repositories named things like Echo Forge Legacy or Nexus Core Vault. Brittany, on the flip side, couldn't debug a simple API call if her bonus depended on it. But she excelled at the smoke and mirrors, the corporate performance art that dazzled the higher-ups. Alex was the unseen engine, chugging away in the shadows. Brittany was the flashy dashboard, all bells and whistles, pointless without the power underneath. She strutted through the office in power suits that screamed executive material, flashed smiles like campaign ads, and dropped buzzwords as if every chat was a keynote speech. The C-suite ate it up, called it executive presence, soft skills on steroids. What they missed were her extended lunches at trendy bistros, the endless networking mixers, and the sheer terror in her eyes whenever a client demo veered into technical territory beyond resetting a VPN. I once watched her botch a major rollout during a video call, mixing up 2 enterprise accounts and nearly tanking a quarter's revenue. Alex swooped in mid-call, rerouted the data streams, spun up a hotfix script to contain the fallout, and even drafted a follow-up email to the clients, signing it under her name. She never caught on. She just basked in the glowing feedback about her team's lightning-fast response. Alex never uttered a peep about it. That was his code silent. Efficient. No drama. Just a quick smoke break in the parking garage afterward. And maybe a subtle nod if you crossed paths. We all knew the company was stitched together with his late nights, his ingenuity, his sheer refusal to let things crumble. But he never lorded it over us. He made sure the gears turned, even when they forgot to loop him into strategy sessions that hinged on his very work. I recall one company retreat photo shoot where he got overlooked entirely, an oops from the organizer. The photographer shrugged, confused. As we pointed it out, Alex wasn't on the roster. He snapped the group pic from the sidelines anyway, thermos in hand, then slipped away before the shutter clicked. He wasn't resentful, just worn thin, like a wire frayed from constant current. There was a pattern to his grind. Mondays meant mopping up weekend glitches from Brittany's half-baked marketing integrations. Wednesdays, He'd run what he dubbed infrastructure hygiene. I only glimpsed it once on his screen before he alt-tabbed away. Fridays. He'd sync everything to a portable SSD he never left behind, slipping it into his bag like a ritual. No one questioned it. They reaped the benefits without peering under the hood. Not Brittany. Not the execs. Not even the fresh-faced CIO who labeled him reliable but not visionary. That's when I spotted the shift in Alex's gaze, not fury. Not even pain. Just a deep-seated acceptance that they'd never truly value him. Not unless the whole damn machine seized up. And I suspect that's when the seeds of his plan took root. Quiet as a shadow lengthening at dusk. The email blasted through on a drizzly Tuesday, jolting the open-plan office like a thunderclap in a library. Opening, Senior VP of Infrastructure Operations. Submit applications by end of day next Friday. It was the kind of posting that sparked covert whispers and side-eye calculations. Everyone sizing up their odds like poker players at a high-stakes table. Alex didn't flinch. He just nursed his bitter brew from that ancient thermos he wouldn't upgrade. But I caught the subtle clench in his fist. The same tell he had when someone mishandled a server reboot. You applying? I prodded. Half joking. Half earnest. He shrugged, fingers hovering over his keys. You've been running that show since Brittany still thought scalability was a fitness term, I pressed. That earned a ghost of a grin. Maybe, he murmured, eyes fixed on the code. But come Monday, I saw him compiling a doc, not some glossy pitch deck. Not a vision board sprinkled with stock photos. Just a stark two-pager of metrics. Boosted system uptime by 52% over 7 years. Slashed incident response time from 45 minutes to under 5. Engineered zero-cost autoscaling without vendor lock-in. Raw data. Unvarnished truth. Meanwhile, Brittany was reserving conference rooms for her rehearsal pitches, laminating handouts with bubble fonts screaming, holistic infrastructure vibes next to selfies from a corporate wellness retreat. Her app packet included a QR code to a Vimeo clip titled, "Innovation is a Mindset." The office hummed with bets. Brittany played the politics like a pro. Doling out compliments. Name-dropping synergies. Even donning fake reading glasses for that analytical edge before ditching them mid-meeting for dramatic flair. All the while, Alex kept the ship afloat, patching her latest fumbles. That week, she was tasked with migrating quarterly compliance audits to a new cloud platform. One misplaced config flag, and she accidentally revoked access for 3 key partners. By the time the alerts pinged, furious emails were flooding in, demanding explanations for the sudden blackout. Brittany freaked, pacing the break room, fanning herself with a notepad. The cloud's glitching, it's unreliable, she wailed. Alex didn't bat an eye. He fished a USB from his pocket, jacked it into a diagnostic port, and fired off a command line I'd never seen. 15 seconds flat. Done. Brittany was still hyperventilating when he leaned in. Check it now. How did you? You flipped the auth toggle and flooded the queue with nulls. It wasn't the cloud, it was user error. She stared, then beamed. Phew. You're a lifesaver. Alex. So dependable. She patted his arm like a puppy and sauntered off. Crisis averted. That evening, Alex updated a private repo named Contingency Forge v23 and logged a discrete entry, Brittany Q3 migration botch, resolved. No credit. I asked if he was serious about applying. He met my eyes steadily. Why not? Let's see if merit's still in the game. He submitted at 7:58 p.m. sharp. I saw the timestamp in the HR portal while pulling overtime. Minutes later, Brittany blasted her packet to the exec chain. Subject, you're next in for a visionary. Let's disrupt together. I nearly punched my screen. But Alex? He powered down, grabbed his thermos, and quipped. If they pick sparkle over substance, They'll learn the hard way. Little did I know. That was his last internal submission ever. The promo announcement landed like a gut punch at a family dinner, awkward, inevitable, and laced with regret. Brittany snagged the senior VP spot. Linda's all-hands email crowed about her dynamic energy, her people-centric approach, her emotional acuity. Not a syllable on tech chops, system architecture, or compliance savvy. You could have swapped her creds with a motivational meme page and it'd fly. I stared at my inbox. File rising. But Alex? He reclined in his chair, took a deliberate swig from his thermos, and closed his laptop with the finality of a judge's gavel. Then he rose, strode to Linda's glass-walled office, rapped once, and entered. The door stayed ajar just enough for snippets. Congrats to Brittany. Then he slid over a plain envelope. Linda skimmed it, her face draining of color. The air went still. I could have heard a mouse click from across the floor. This a joke? She hissed. Alex stood firm. Nope. 2 weeks' notice. Effective now. Her voice pitched up. This is unprofessional. He tilted his head. So is mistaking charm for capability and dubbing it strategy. The door clicked shut softly. Not a bang, but a period at the end of an era. He returned to his desk, pocketed his SSD, dropped his badge in a drawer, gave me a knowing nod, and vanished down the hall with a half-smile whispering, "Buckle up." Brittany breezed in half an hour later, clad in a neon blazer that screamed victory lap and summoned an impromptu huddle. "We're flipping the script on ops," she chirped, flicking through slides on her clicker like a game show host. "Let's amplify synergies, ignite cross-team sparks, and truly activate our potential." A junior dev piped up about the billing pipeline. She blinked. Isn't that accounting's turf? Head swiveled to Alex's empty station. No sweat, she recovered, grinning broader. We'll loop back. Then she loaded the main dashboard and blanched. What's this alert? Red flag, bad news. Yeah, someone muttered. Alex should have handed off properly before bouncing. I bit my tongue, knowing Brittany had demanded a transition guide. And he delivered. A single PDF. Bold 72-point font blaring. You've got this. That evening, the first batch of client audits fizzled unfiled. A partner messaged me directly, POC change? Brittany forwarded it to legal. Draft something brand positive? Day 1 of the unraveling. By day 3, she was scapegoating the tech stack. These legacy systems are dinosaurs, she griped in a leadership sync. Built without foresight. A voice from the back. Alex built them. Her smile flickered. Well, modernization's my jam. Change fuels growth. Alex, meanwhile, had ghosted. His out-of-office bounced back, no longer at Apex Dynamics. Direct tech queries to the new Senior VP of Infrastructure Operations. Good luck. The void he left echoed louder than any exit interview. And in that hush, the fissures spread. Alex didn't slink out the back exit like most quits. He marched through the lobby with his battered laptop bag and thermos hooked on like a talisman. The receptionist nodded farewell. He nodded back. 22 years evaporated in a swipe of the revolving door. Linda hadn't announced it. HR skipped the farewell cake. Brittany was too busy tweaking her LinkedIn banner. But a few of us watched from the windows as he crossed the rainy street. Collar up. Melting into traffic. I checked emails that night, have it, and hit his auto-reply. It stung. That dry wit. No ops committee existed. The joke was on them. The whole infra empire had been his solo act. And now the curtain was up on the blaze. Hours later, he got the offer. He didn't boast. Didn't LinkedIn brag about exciting new horizons. But he confided in me later. Casual as chatting weather. Remember Vanguard Logistics? The firm with those ergonomic standing desks. I nodded, stunned. Interviewed quietly a few months back. As a backup. They called post-resignation, tracked our uptime metrics. Asked who owned it. My name surfaced. He sipped coffee like it was no big deal. Doubling salary. Vested equity. Full reins on infra design. I sputtered. You're taking it? Already did. That was Alex, decades of being sidelined. And his payback was simply being valued elsewhere. No fireworks. No lawsuits. Just a seamless pivot from neglect to necessity. I asked if he'd reply to Linda's inevitable pleas. He shook his head. Let the gaps teach the lesson. But he did forward one last artifact, a BCC'd thread from 3 years prior. Subject, automation IP clarification. In it, he detailed how his off-hour scripts remained personal property absent a formal handover. HR's reply? Noted, prioritized deliverables. He'd never migrated them to company servers. That night, Brittany pinged his Slack 6 times. All bounced, user deactivated. Her last, quick ask, password for audit automation, crickets. The dominoes toppled from there. Alex hadn't booby-trapped anything, he just ceased being the glue. By day 5, Brittany's empowerment huddle felt like a sinking ship's muster. She teetered in stilettos, projecting optimism like a faulty bulb. We're navigating this evolution, team. We've got the grit. But half the devs lacked updated access tokens, offshore syncs lagged, triggering duplicate invoices to clients. Rocky start, she conceded. Smile straining. I'm blueprinting a fresh ecosystem lean. No outdated baggage. When pressed on the outage predictor, she dismissed. We won't lean on autopilots. Own your processes. The irony scorched those pilots had been the firewall against disaster. By week's end, the org directory still showed Alex as active. HR's portal stalled without his nightly cron job. Lost in the ether. Then the hammer. The core API started rejecting calls, pinging a defunct license key tied to Alex's personal domain. No crash. Just elegant failure, authentication denied. Data flow halted. Brittany chirped. Just reboot? The lead engineer deadpanned. No. Proprietary backbone. Not in our Git. Reverse engineering? Months. But it's ours. Right? We used it. Slow blink. He flagged ownership years ago, independent dev. No transfer. Brittany wheeled to Linda like a kid caught cheating. Did we formalize that? Linda iced over. Ask HR. But HR was buried in manual audits. Everyone Control+CING like it was the dial-up era. Across town, Alex savored an espresso in Vanguard's panoramic conference room. He texted me a photo, skyline view. No words. But I spotted his familiar schema sketched on a whiteboard evolved. Pristine. He didn't gloat, the proof was in the polish. Back at Apex. Brittany doubled meetings for continuity, really interrogations. Explain this endpoint? Whispers grew. She thought she could slide deck her way past 2 decades. Alex was the blueprint. We dubbed it the echo effect, mysterious breakdowns no one could trace. Fixes spawned new fractures, patches hit IP walls. LinkedIn tabs multiplied as morale tanked. By midweek, IT was a pressure cooker, clenched teeth. Energy drink pyramids. Mutters of ghost hunting with sticky notes. One dev quipped. If I spot Alex out there, drinks on me and an apology. They'd unearthed the truth, no sabotage. Just dependency on his personal creds. APIs keyed to his domain. Pipelines croned from his external host. Parsers licensed under his name. Code comments mocked like riddles, if errored. Reflect inward. Seek elsewhere, nature calls. Brittany's Decode the Alex Enigma brainstorm flopped when schema drew blanks. It's the soul of the data flow. Even the copier jammed in solidarity. Then the unearthed email from 2020. Alex querying IP on his self-built tools, listing them meticulously, citing his initial contractor status. Legals brush off, low priority, focus on KPIs. He'd warned, they'd waved it away. Now Brittany haunted HR, pleading if emotional intelligence covered infra resuscitation. It didn't. She'd slack-trashed him as obsolete ballast, prints of which now adorned lockers under Why We Stay Silent. That Friday, HR's Donna dialed Alex twice. Voicemail pleading, "We'd love your consult on lingering systems, eager for collaboration on licensing mix-ups." No callback. Just his email echo, per your 2020 note, "Not my priority now." Brittany looked wrecked. Hair frazzled. Canceling her culture boost deck and vanishing. At Vanguard, Alex mentored devs in a sun-drenched space, granting autonomy and an innovation budget. They framed his 2020 email, he warned them. And Brittany? She couldn't access the escalation portal, token in a file Riley named brittleauth.json. He hadn't wrecked them. Their hubris did the demolition. The boardroom reeked of desperation and marker ink. Brittany perched at the table's end, laptop aglow, smile cracking like cheap veneer. Opposite, Harlan Graves, compliance czar, ex-SEC hawk who'd once halted a merger over a footnote glitch. Harlan didn't chit-chat, he dissected trails. And Brittany was the exhibit. 8 vendor hiccups. For billing snafus. 3 audit flags, all in 13 days, he intoned. Brittany fluttered. Turbulence. Sure, stepping into chaos. Incomplete handoff. Harlan unblinking, "You were the handoff." She chuckled nervously. Truth? Alex left a tangled web. No docs. No one could have navigated that. Curious, Harlan tapped keys. "Here's 15 approvals under your sign-off. Last quarter, API tweaks. Access renewals. Compliance mods. Care to elaborate?" Brittany scanned her screen desperately. Routine stuff, Alex managed, I trusted. Assumed, Harlan echoed. Letting it hang. Assumed oversight meant rubber stamping blind? Hallway eavesdroppers clustered by the Keurig. Feigning refills. Word buzzed, compliance on the warpath. Brittany fracturing. Meanwhile, Alex on board at Vanguard. Demoing clean traces, front-end to back-end, transparent. A newbie marveled, "This is surgical." Alex keeps that way with care. Document. Verify. Never endorse unknowns. Irony thick as fog. At apex. Harlan sliced, not mere glitches, accountability voids. You greenlit unchecked changes, now liabilities on the authorizer. Brittany whispered, "Not intentional." Negligence isn't malice, Harlan countered. But you're compensated to avert it. She froze, eyes pleading for escape. None came. The office grasped it, she'd faked her way. Gut-signing minefields. Beaming amid blasts. Alex hadn't torpedoed her, her stylist did. And he? Whiteboarding wisdom. Sign only what you've forged. They laminated it that day. The envelope landed on Linda's desk like a subpoena, ivory stock. Attorney's seal stark as judgment. No sender. Just crisp type colder than a non-disclosure breach. She slid it with her ornate opener, severing her last denial thread. 3 pages, no venom. No demands. Pure legalese. It cataloged how Apex's core automation's routing, parsing, syncing, alerting were Alex's off-duty creations. Licensed informally despite his 2020 flags. They owned zilch. And records proved awareness. No suit threatened, Alex offered a license, commercial. Annual. Fair but firm. Terms attached, fees. Clauses. Boilerplate. Pay to persist or reconstruct from ashes. Linda reread. Hand trembling by the 3rd pass. Brittany, diluting normalcy's return, stared at her cuticles across the room. Legal validated, compliance concurred, HR resurfaced the ignored thread. Brush off glaring, not priority. Now it eclipsed all. They countered low, invoking shared history, joint evolution, budget constraints. Alex's counsel volleyed back in hours. Fees hiked 25% for retroactive coverage on unlicensed runs. Linda capitulated. Signed. Systems reignited, dashboards pulsed. Logs flowed. But trust didn't reboot. They'd enthroned a facade. Exiled the foundation. At Vanguard, Alex reviewed migrations in a Vista office. His name plated. Shared docs flashed familiar logos. 2 Apex clients. Apex deserters post-fiascos. They'd contacted him directly. Easing switches. In his intro sync, he noted casually, phased rollout, quirky schemas I mapped last year. No triumph, just expertise. That PM. Linda's all hands. Ops leadership shifts. Brittany omitted. Whispers, leave, or demotion. Irrelevant. Alex held the cards. Voice never raised, his void roared their downfall. The final ops summit, dubbed Continuity and Accountability, screamed reckoning. Linda stormed and delayed. Eyes shadowed like ledger ghosts. Blazer rumpled. Jaw rigid, hallmarks of implosion. Room thick with dread and ink. Brittany mid-table. Sans gadgets. Just dog-eared prints and a decade-added face. Lips stained with faded resolve. Linda slammed a dossier. This? Our blind spot before crowning a vibe check as VP. Breath held. Who greenlit slides over spine. HR mumbled standards. Alignment. Ignored. Eyes bored into Brittany. Fish-mouthing silently. Knock. Harlan entered with an external auditor. Suit funereal. Binder hefty as her creds. Quick. Who authorized back-end audits pre-vendor outage? Projector dimmed. Cough. Page flip echoed. Logs show. Brittany Wilkes. Infraprod. Your creds. Brittany exorcised, yes. But Alex crafted, I trusted. Trusted sans vetting, Harlan carved. Clicked. Certified. Collapsed. Trail's yours. Brittany stammered. Linda silenced, enough. Relieved immediately. Access revoked. Brittany nodded. Rose creakily. Heels whispering retreat. No ovation. No murmurs. Linda scanned. Henceforth. Explain any touch in audit speak. 10 words max. Across town. Alex lounged in Vanguard's hub. Team sealing another ex-Apex client migration. CTO ping. Saved us quarters of mess. Your checklist? Company canon now. He grinned privately. Pocketed the phone. City pulsed outside. Apex endured. Scarred, never the same. Forever haunted by the boardroom fracture where silence indicted Brittany. And hubris shattered all. Leadership flair means squat when the empire ran on one man's unspoken sacrifices.